It is June 30th, 2023. This is Sergeant Sarah Ashton Cirillo of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, speaking with you from the Territorial Defense Forces media studios in Kyiv. We begin with news from the south. According to the Armed Forces of Ukraine's Department of Strategic Communications, 13 Iranian-manufactured Shahed kamikaze drones were launched towards Ukrainian territory in the direction of Zaporizhia during the early morning hours today. Our air defenses neutralized 10 of them, and no deaths were reported. Intense battles continue in areas around Liman, Bakhmut, and Marinka. Reports by the ZSU indicate that almost 36 separate engagements occurred between Ukrainian troops and the invaders. To the rule of law we go. A Ukrainian court announced a guilty verdict against former Rada member Yevgeny Balitsky. Balitsky was convicted of collaborating with Russian authorities in temporarily occupied Zaporizhia, where he had been named head of the Illegal Occupations Administration. A thorough investigation by the SBU resulted in a 15-year prison sentence for the traitor. At the United Nations yesterday, Johns Hopkins professor Sergei Radchenko pushed back against Russian representative claims that Allied military assistance for Ukraine was escalating our war for liberty and liberation. In pointing out that the Kremlin ordered a full-scale invasion of the country based on fabrications, Professor Radchenko opined that allies of Ukraine have, quote, not gone far enough in their transfer of weapons and other systems to the Ukrainian armed forces. At the same hearing, Ukraine's delegate to the international body pointed out Russia's murder of 3 children in Kramatorsk this week was not due to Ukrainian weapons, but, as he said, because Russia still has weapons and remains willing to kill. From the United Nations, we move to the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. As Vilnius draws near, it is worth reminding the global community that Ukraine is already a key NATO partner. As Kyiv steers Ukraine towards full membership in the alliance, terms like special partnership have to be set aside in favor of a rapid ascension into the organization. Russia's continued aggression cannot be factored in as a reason for denying Ukraine's deserved place in NATO, as Putin's threats against Finland didn't stop it from being accepted into the org, nor is the fact that some areas of Ukraine are temporarily occupied. In 1955, the then Federal Republic of Germany became a member despite being split from the rest of the country by the Iron Curtain. Ukraine's integration will end Russia's dreams of territorial expansion into Europe and Putin's attempted extortion of our European neighbors. Ukraine in NATO is good for peace, for liberty, and the balance of freedom across the world. News broke that the Biden administration is considering issuing a waiver to transfer dual-purpose munitions, known as DPICMs, to Ukraine. As early as January of this year, reports emerged that a third-party country had already sent a batch of DPICMs to Ukraine, where they were said to have been used with maximum efficiency at the front lines. This was followed by a March letter co-authored by GOP leadership in both the House and Senate, including House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Michael McCaul and Ranking Member of the Senate Armed Services Committee, Roger Wicker, which requested the transfer of these shells to Ukraine based on their view that, quote, providing DPICMs will allow Ukraine to compensate for Russia's quantitative advantage in both personal and artillery rounds, and will allow the Ukrainian armed forces to concentrate their use of unitary warheads against higher value Russian targets. Then this week, the bipartisan bicameral Helsinki Commission followed up with its own letter to the White House. The missive, signed by Representatives Joe Wilson, Steve Cohen, and Victoria Spartz, stated DPICMs present an opportunity to provide the Ukrainian armed forces with a powerful capability to use against the Russian army and its mercenary forces. Ukrainian troops and the nation's populace appreciate every round of new defense assistance from the United States and look forward to the advantages that this efficient, effective, and safe munition would provide for us on the battlefield. Heading to the Southern Hemisphere, a recently conducted audit by the Australian government concluded that that country's Department of Defense approach to providing military assistance to the government of Ukraine was largely effective. As of the 1-year mark of the full-scale invasion, our allies in Australia committed approximately 688 million Australian dollars to the people of Ukraine, including about 510 million Australian dollars in military aid. Thank you to the citizens of Australia for your continued support. And now we'll end by featuring some fireworks from the 74th Brigade of the 102nd Battalion of the Territorial Defense Forces. With eyes in the sky and precision aim, the soldiers of the 74th are showing the world why Russia is on the run. Slava Ukraini, and may God bless our troops.